Alright, so what I'm going to be showing today is a new preset that I've been kind of developing for my own work and workflow. And it's at a point where I feel like it's pretty good. I feel like I can share it. And so what I've been shooting with is on a Leica system. I have a M262 and a Leica Q. So what I'm going to be showing are most of the images. I only have a few here. There's only maybe, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 examples from my Leica M262, and then I have a couple of examples from a recently sold Fujifilm X100V, just to show that this also works on Fuji files as well. I built this on the Leica system, but I think you can transfer between systems. I'll also say that it's not perfect. When you apply it to your work, you're going to have to do some adjustments, and I'll go through those as we go, but primarily it's going to be exposure adjustments, blacks, whites, highlights, shadows, and that's really it. Sometimes you can mess around with the saturation levels a bit, but yeah, let me just start here. So this is a photo of my car in New Jersey when it was snowing. And so the main preset here is basically this, and you can see that it doesn't nail it when you first apply it. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time it kind of doesn't. Kind of requires you to fiddle around with it. But this is my workflow. This is something that I do. You can try to follow it with me, and this may work for me, it may not work for you, but here we go. So what I would do normally here is I like to have my clipping notifications on. I just hit the J button for, this is Lightroom, and then what I also do is if the white balance is somewhat off, I hit W for the white picker, and I just try to like pick around for like something that's neutral and it gets me in a good spot, and then that's pretty good for now for me. But then what I do first is I increase the exposure just to see more of the picture. I also change the color of the background to help me. Sometimes white helps, sometimes black helps, but then what I also do is then go to the blacks first. I tend to go to the blacks first with the clipping. I tend to see what's clipping here and kind of just bump it up then a little bit. Same with the whites, because I want the whites to pop, but I don't want to lose too much detail. But this preset seems to retain a lot of these details. You can see, and it's kind of going for like a more, I hate the term, filmic look, analog kind of feel, but it's not, because it's digital. You can't replace film, so, but it's just more about feel. So I put it there, shadows, I kind of leave it kind of how it is. And then the highlights, let's see if we warm it up a little bit, maybe cool it off. And, you know, this takes some fiddling around with each individual image. Let's see, let's just kind of like bump it up just a little bit. And, you know, I would spend a bit more time on this. I would walk away, I would rest my eyes, because, you know, eye strain's a real thing when you're editing. You kind of need to walk away and take a break. So yeah, you know, that feels pretty good. So that's before, this is after, before, after. And then another little thing I like to do is see it on the print, what it's like on a print. Helps me kind of visualize the edit and what it would look like. This isn't proper or anything, but just to get a visual on what this preset's doing and what it can do. Just to show kind of basically what's going on here. Color mixer, there's a few shifts going on. Nothing on the color grading, it's more of just, yeah. So yeah, that works well for that. Let's move on to another one. So let's turn the clipping off so you can just kind of see the image here. This was in Brooklyn somewhere. I was on a photo walk with my friend Trent, but let's go ahead and maybe just slap that on there so you can instantly see it's a little bit cool. So before, after, but it does some nice beginning work for you to go in and start fiddling around with it. So I turn on the clipping, maybe bump up the exposure a bit, bump up blacks, maybe some of the whites, see how bright we can push it without losing those details. I tend to have the whites around here, shadows probably bump up a bit, and then let's see where we're at. So that's before, that's after, before and after. Maybe make it a little warmer. So this is like really warm, which is, you know, nice. It's all personal preference, really. It's a little bit cooler. I tend to, and I think the eye tends to gravitate towards more warmer tones. So, yeah, that's pretty darn close. That pretty much gets you there. And then maybe bump up the shadows a bit. Saturations, I usually have it down. Another key little tip I learned from Pavel Kosenko, I think his last name is. I may be mispronouncing it. Polish photographer. He talks about editing digital files, and one of the things that he mentions is that in order to get more color, you actually want to desaturate images. Maybe I'll leave a link on the PDF book that he wrote in the description, but it's a helpful little thing because you can see, you know, when you add more saturation, it just looks bad, but when you reduce it, it makes everything breathe a little bit better. So I always tend to bring down saturation. So yeah, that's before, it's after, it's super quick. Let's see it on, you know, what it's like on here. Put a black background so we can see. And honestly, like, that looks pretty good to me. That would be done. So let's go to another one. And, you know, just for kicks, we can even copy these settings and maybe try it on another picture. This was in Newark, New Jersey with my friend Tom. So let's even just try pasting it on here, and it works pretty well. So what you would want to do is, again, take a white balance reading, kind of just click around, and if it doesn't really suit anything, kind of just do it manually, just by eye. And it helps, again, to change the background color a bit, kind of just gauge it. Again, you can finesse with this as long as you want. I'm just kind of going quick through here. But yeah, honestly, that looks pretty good. So before, after. Let's check our clippings. And, you know, this isn't too important. I'm curious what other people would say about this editing process. I'm sure I can increase, or rather improve this. But for the case of simplicity's sake, you know, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good to me. We can maybe make it a little darker, but yeah, that's done to me. So what do we got so far? We've got this, before, after, before, after, before, after. So it's really not that much. Let's do this one. So let's just slap this one on. Alright, so we can instantly see it's a little bright. Maybe start with the blacks, kind of see where we're moving here. Maybe down the exposure a bit. Bring the whites up, see how far we can push it. And I'm also kind of looking at the histogram too, but I'm not relying on it. It's more, it's important to pay attention to it, but also just kind of go by feel of like what you're visually seeing. It also helps to have your screen calibrated, which this is. So that's a helpful thing to have. Let's just try the white picker. So yeah, it works a little bit, kind of gets you there. I'd warm it up just a bit, throw it on black so we can kind of just see what we're working with here. Maybe like a touch more magenta, maybe a touch more warmth, and then maybe just a touch of the exposure. So you can see everything that I'm adjusting here is on this single panel for this preset. It's nice. It's pretty easy to do. And honestly, like, that looks good. These images don't need much. It shouldn't need much. You know, the reds kind of accentuate now. Yeah, it's nice, you know? So, let's see it on black. obviously would, you know, align it. This was in where I live currently. This is a town called Bluffton, South Carolina. So then what we could do again, because this one and this one come from the same area, this is a different day, different lighting, obviously, but what we can, you know, just for kicks is copy this, paste it, you know, it's not perfect, brighten it up a bit, see where our clipping is, so about right there. Blacks I usually tend to be above 0, whites usually above 0, shadows. It's all coming to taste, you know, it's not perfect. Every photo is going to require something. No preset's perfect, and I would definitely warm this up. Throw this on white. Before, after, before, after. Again, personal preference. You can do what you will. But throw it on the print. Let's change this. Yeah, I mean, it gets you there. It gets you there. Let's do that again. Or rather, let's do a fresh one. So this is another one, Bluffton, over by the Oyster Factory. So let's do main, and then let's see here. Start with clipping maybe. So, you know, I don't want them too black. I want everything to kind of rise up a bit. I would definitely warm it up a bit. Get the white point as close as we can, anyways. That's pretty good right there. And then, let's see. And I leave room in the contrast just to bring in some bite, but it's always better to bring the contrast down. I find, anyways. Someone can probably argue with me about that, but. And yeah, honestly, like, again, I would spend a lot more time with this, but just to kind of give what I'm having to offer here. It's not bad, you know, it gets you there. So, yeah, looks good to my eyes. So let's move on to a Fuji file. So this was another one in Brooklyn with my friend Trent. So let's go ahead and try this one. This is on the X100V. Get a white point, maybe gray somewhere, something like that. Too bright, bring it down. And honestly, you could leave it like that. You could honestly just leave it like that. But I like to do as much as I could without doing too much. You don't want to do too much. Warm it up a bit, and then maybe somewhere there, maybe a bit more magenta. Honestly, you can do a lot just between these temperature and tint sliders. Like, if you can get good at this, you can make any photo look good. I think so, anyways. Yeah, I mean, there you go. Before, after. You know, we can definitely finesse this to our heart's content, but let me back more warm. So, I don't know. Maybe up the contrast. Yeah, it works well. Print. Yep, works for me. Hopefully it works for you. Now this other one is from the same day. So what we could do is, because this looks good, maybe a bit more magenta here. Just a touch. So then what we could do is copy these settings and maybe just pop it on here. And there you go. I mean, it works pretty well. It just adds enough bite. Just enough bite. But to keep some softness, yet some, like, I don't know, interesting things going on. Let's check the clipping. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, It does what I want it to do. It does exactly what I want it to do. So that's the preset. I'll have it available. Probably have it as donation based for a while, but I do think it's helpful. Let's kind of go back through and see what we got. So before, after, maybe just medium gray. Before, after, before, after, before, after, before, after. Yeah, I mean, it does just enough. I keep saying it, but that's what this is. So I'm curious how you use it. Share it. Let me know your thoughts. I can always work on another one. This is my first time doing this, so hopefully this was somewhat entertaining, maybe helpful. I don't know. Yeah, I'll have a link to this. You can try it out on your own. And yeah, till next time. Thanks.